we get up to the preseason, or we get up to spring training, I should say, and something happens. I don't know if this happened before the season or like right as like, spring training starts, but you become an alternate for the Oregon Crusaders in 2018. When did you find out, and how did that all go? Because I don't even think I remember, honestly.
I don't really remember the exact moment I got moved to alternate position. I don't disagree with moving me to alternate position. At the time, I was very upset about it, but I think that comes from a sense of like entitlement of like, how could you make me a 3-year vet and alternate? What the heck are you thinking?
Yeah.
But like looking back on it, I was definitely dealing with some like depression issues and like going through some stuff in my own personal life. And drum corps doesn't really let you.
You kind of just have to move. You kind of have to keep moving if you want to stay afloat with everybody and you want to keep moving. You have to go. You have to keep.
It was my first time like ever really seriously dealing with like depression and like not knowing what to do with this, and I was just so angry all the time. And so I wasn't keeping up with like the workout program, and then eventually like not keeping up with the workout program, like, and then being told that like I was going to get moved to alternate just started affecting me so much more. I mean, that kind of like led into me like not getting like some videos done. And so I don't remember the exact moment when, but I got the email. I remember being like so upset about it, and I was just like, well, I was like kind of in denial really, because I got there and then they were like, nobody can go onto the field until you finish your assignments.
All right,
and
dude.
So like
day one, Lisa Tatum, it was like the morning of day one, and she was just like, someone in this trumpet section better go tell Dylan Ryder right now that he has to go finish all. Like, it was like only, and I was just sitting there, and I was like, and they all looked at me and they're like, Jeff, are you gonna go? And I'm like, I got him. Like, I think Connor Lewis ran up there.
It was Connor Lewis. I remember exactly, because Connor Lewis sprinted into the cabin, like flung the door open and was like, hey man, I'm here to help you with your video assignments. And I was chilling on a bunk because it's not because I couldn't do them, right? It's just like a lack of motivation and like a lack of effort on my part. It's just that I didn't want to, or like couldn't. I don't know.
Also, you're in year 4 at this point, and like, I think I talked about this before, and I think we talked about this all the time, especially in 18. You start to realize that like camp season sucks, especially as a vet coming back somewhere, like, and especially as you do more and more years, because you already know what they're going to do at every single camp. You know what every month looks like, what they're going to be working on, and you kind of just want to get to the show music and like starting like building the show. And so every season when you kind of have to go through those like building blocks over and over and over, it gets old, and it's really hard to find motivation to like get those things done, because you're like, I know I can do this thing. Just get me to May and we're sailing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like that like whole being bored with the camp season and like the depression, really like having no motivation to do much. Like I wasn't doing too great in like some classes at school, and I've been fixing that literally even now. Like I'm putting in even more work to fix my mistakes from like 6 or so years ago or whatever. But like, I don't know. It's like I said, it's not like I couldn't do it. It's like literally when Connor Lewis ran into the dorm, I was chilling on the bunk and he was like, what's going on? Why aren't you working? And I was like, oh, I'm already done. I finished them like 30 minutes ago. I'm just waiting for him to upload and like submit them so I can go out there. And I was still in denial that I was going to be an alternate, because like one of the trumpets wasn't there for like the first 2 weeks. And so in my mind, I was like, there's no shot that they would let me learn a spot for 2 weeks. And then by the end of that, still give the spot to another person.
Exactly.
And then when the dude showed up and they gave the spot to him, I was like, what? Huh? I was like that shocked Pikachu face. Like,
because we were rocking. I completely forgot about it. I was like, Dylan's in the spot. Like, we're going.
Nope. I was like, whoa, consequences of my inaction. Oh my gosh.
The consequences.
And I had so many people like try to help me, and I just like, I don't know. I really took it for granted.
I think it was just,
I don't have a lot of regrets. This lack of effort and like lack of care, lack of trying definitely was like my number one regret. But even then, I don't necessarily regret how that turned out, because getting to play Euphonium for a summer.
Euphonium.
Getting to play euphonium for a summer, although that first day was the hardest day of my entire drum corps career, getting switched to euphonium. And then I had a like 2-hour master class with like this euphonium tech who did not want me to succeed. I say that maybe she did, but at the time,
no, it was very hard. Like watching you have to go through that and like being like, Dylan, you're gonna pick up a youth today. I was like, oh God.
Every instance of like me holding that youth, like we spent like an hour of that 2-hour masterclass while you guys are doing brass block of her just like yelling at me over and over and over again to like. I was like, because I was only used to taking like trumpet breaths or like playing a trumpet. I've never played a different instrument a day in my life. Going from that to playing the euphonium and trying to get me to play this and play it in a show at a drum corps level, right? So she would just scream at me over and over and over again about taking a good breath. And so like there was really a point where I was going to pass out. Like I remember like almost like starting to see like my vision starts to go and I'm about to pass out from how much air I'm having to move to play this instrument. And it just was never enough. And I remember that day normally you'd eat lunch with all your friends. That day I took my lunch. I sat in the farthest opposite corner of the entire like drum corps I could find, the most secluded, isolated place. Yeah. And that is the only time in drum corps that I cried for not being happy. Like I sat down and I bawled. I was like the most depressed, the most miserable, like I couldn't even play the instrument that I loved. Yeah. And at the time now it seems kind of silly because I really liked playing euphonium actually. It was
you ended up like owning that shit and like I just remember like there was a point and I don't remember when exactly it happened, but I remember at first you're like, this sucks, but I'm out here and we're doing it. So it's like whatever. Like your whole attitude. That's why that beginning part was just like, well, I'm here and I'm on the field, so it's like whatever. But at some point you started to like own it and just like own the whole euphonium thing and just like I just saw like the spark come back into your eye and you just like have that goofiness come like back for you.
What it really was the euphonium section people. Like 18 was such a unique year because on top of all of like the scoring issues, like 22nd place, right? Whatever. On top of that, it really was like a dark year for us.
In terms of everything else that like
everything
happened.
going on. And so like the bond,
I think we were bonded by trauma.
Like every bonded by trauma, literally like everybody in that corps was so close. Like I think there are group chats from that year that are still way more active than any year I've marched. I recently discovered that there is like a group chat of like people from the bus, or like the back of the bus, who are still very active and like active in each other's lives. Yes. And so what it was for me was we were standing. I remember this one day very vividly. We were standing on like a brass block. And I didn't know how to play the show or anything. I didn't know how to play this instrument at all. And so it was Gina. You remember Gina?
Yes, dude.
Yeah, Gina and
hell yeah, shout out Gina.
They go by Kale now, but they were I think they were you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
They were their ginger orange hair. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love them a lot. Those two people especially got me through that beginning phase. I was just so depressed, but they were like, we play third, you play third. And they were like, you can't read bass clef, but you can look at our fingers and you can know if you're playing the right note. And so I learned the whole show.
That's awesome.
I learned all of my notes from the show just watching the people around me and playing what fingers they put down. I was specifically told not to play, but there was no shot I was going to hold an instrument like that
for 12 minutes.
Yeah, for 12 minutes and not play anything. I was going to play the impacts for sure, and I did get cut off the brass feature. But everything else, I was going to play. I was going to play everything else. They specifically were like, after the brass feature, they were like, are you playing any of the show? And I was like,
I don't think so anymore.
I was like, I'm playing one moment. Where like one of the euphonium techs like literally was like, don't play anything, never play a single note of the show. You shouldn't be playing anything. And the other euphonium tech,
that's so fucked up, by the way, just because it's like, I mean, you're still a brass player at the end of the day. You can still make a sound, and like I feel like that can still be like, you can still teach how to make like a simple sound that can like blend in with a section. And
I like one of them really was supportive of me playing. Like at the end of the show, they'd be like, so how much did you play? And I'd be like, I don't know. I think I got maybe like this part, and this part. And she was like, yeah, awesome. Let's go. So I love her. She was like, she made playing the euphonium like
who was
doable.
That?
And like, this one was Cameron Cody.
Okay.
She was like the short blonde euphonium.
Yeah. No, I remember.
Shout out. Her, like Sarah Myers, Dan Hoffman. These are the people who got me through that summer. Those were the three like people 100%. Who really. Like, I'll never forget Dan Hoffman sitting me down and like talking to me about depression and talking to me about how to deal with life with depression and like what is a good healthy way to deal with this and what is an unhealthy way to deal with this. And like, you know, I wish I would have taken more of that advice to heart at the time, but I definitely I carry with that with me today and like how much he impacted my life. Yeah.
Dan was huge over those summers just for like morale.
Yeah, he was great. Yeah. Got to play euphonium. That was really fun. But if I could go back in time, I'd definitely change that. I could ramble about OC18 for a long time. I've got a lot of.
I have like 3 questions that are all kind of just like the pains of 18 and what do you feel like went wrong? Because I feel like, I don't know. I feel like at the end there, it all just kind of hit a crash course. I think we kind of just hit a wall and the whole thing just kind of blew up there at the end. And it happened so suddenly that I look back on it and I can't even tell like, just like what happened, because like I feel like that was the most tight-knit OC group ever while there was so much like happening that summer, you know?
Yeah. I think it really was because of how much was happening that summer that we all became so much closer.
Yeah.
You know, some of us became so much closer. So a lot of people took it in the direction of becoming so much closer. And like, I feel like there was a part of me that kind of took it the opposite way where I was so angry. Like Riley touched on this a lot about like, if he could go back and like do anything again, he'd just let more things roll off his back or he'd let it go. Like everyone there just wants to have a good time. Like they're there to work hard. Nobody's paying all this money to come out here and suck or like intentionally ruin anybody else. Right. And so like, if I could go back, that is my biggest drum corps regret is how angry I got towards other people sometimes. And that's not to say that I was just walking around like screaming at people all the time. I definitely like made friends and stuff. Like I was friends with a lot of people, but
dude, like, you were friends with everybody. Are you kidding me? You were like the funniest person in the room in 18. Are you like, we used to have these acting classes, bro. I'll never forget this like specific one. We used to do in spring training. We used to do these like acting master classes after like an entire day. We would do like an extra like 30 to 45 minutes. And there was one day where this like special choreographer came in. It was someone different this day. And like, we're going to do the master class in the gym because it was too dark out. So we go in the gym, spread everything out. And like, they really wanted us to work on like staying in character and not breaking out of that character and staying in focus. And literally they were like, who, like the guy was sitting in the center and he asked everybody, he's like, who's the funniest person in the drum corps? And all 148 go, boom. And they point right at Dylan Ryder. And Dylan just points at me and he's like, it's you. And I'm like, no, it's fucking you. God. Everyone was like, it's Dylan Ryder. He's the funniest person.
I still stand by that. I still think you were way funnier than me, dude. And that was a Seaside, right? That's a Seaside, I think.
I think so.
That's where the 4th of July parade was. I think I remember this.
And like, you just like the guy was just like, okay, Dylan, go ahead and just try to make everyone break. Do whatever you think you have to do to make all these people break, right? And like literally the entire drum corps, or at least the brass line, the entire brass line's in this gym, and you just start going off and getting in every single person's face, telling all these hilarious stories. And I just remember the entire time I was like, joke's on you guys, I've heard all these stories sitting next to him. So I was just like, I'm not gonna laugh at any of this. So you got to me and you tried to like do it, and I was like, I've heard this story 4 times. Like I've heard this story before.
I think I gave you like a little smooch on the cheek.
Yeah, right? You did. That almost broke me.
And he was like, whoa there. I don't know if you can touch them. And I was like, use my seat, but it's all good. Don't worry about it.
It's all right, bro. We kiss all the time. Oh my god, yeah, we kissed all the time in 19. Who are we kidding, bro? But one last question, just kind of wrap up 18. Did the kid at the end of the show ever make sense to you? Because I don't really remember why we ever like decided to do that finals week. Do you remember why? Like, does that make sense to you today?
I understand the concept of why they put the kid in the show. I always thought it was, I don't know. I didn't really.
It's kind of weird looking back on it now. Like
whatever.
At the time,
we're trying to boost as much GE as we can to get to 21st place or something. I don't know.
Be gold.
Yeah, I was like, cool. We're just gonna. I don't know whose kid it was. I think it was the dancers, like the soloist dancer.
Yeah, it was
I don't know.
somebody's like little
It was
brother.
Somebody's like nephew or like brother or something. Yeah. And he was supposed to be like Danny riding the tricycle out, and he did the little red rum finger thing, which
did not work out at semifinals.
I love doing this still. Like later on in my years, like I loved that. And,